friends, welcome to my humble homestead. Today I'm going to take some leftover beef roast. I made a beef roast in my Instapot and I just cut up the leftovers here, and I have some potatoes that I just chopped up the potatoes. I'm going to take my frozen celery that I got from Azure Standard. I'm going to take the carrots that I can, a little chopped up onion, and I'm literally going to throw them in some jars, pressure cook them, and make some beef stew. Simple as that. So if that interests you, come along. All right, so the first thing I did was I put water in here in my Presto electric canner. I'm going to use that today, up to the fill line. Then I'm going to take some arrowroot powder and my leftover broth in here, and I'm going to thicken it with the arrowroot powder. And that's what I'm going to use for my beef stew. Let me see if I can bring you down here a little bit more. All right. So I'm going to put this, I'm just going to put a couple ladles of that because I have quite a bit. And then I'm just going to whisk it. And I got this on Azure too. It's a great price. And then I'm planning on not grocery shopping for most of the winter. But this is what I'm going to use as my thickener in my beef stew. I don't know if it's going to get super thick in the canning jar. It may. But if not, I can always thicken it when I cook it, when I take it out. But I just wanted it to give it an option to get a little bit thicker. So this is going to be some great convenience meals on my shelf. I have different kinds of soups on the shelf. I think I'm going to put you back up here while I assemble these jars. You might be able to see a little bit better. Let's see here. There we go, like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, this is about a tablespoon of celery into each of the jars. Now this is the pre-chopped 5 pounds of celery that I got at Azure, and I love it. I will put a discount link for you for Azure Standard if you guys live in the US and you have Azure. If you don't, I'm sure there's some kind of other discount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. These are a pint and a half, these jars. Then I'm going to put the same amount of onion, and I might put a little extra onion, but you know, we don't need a ton of onion and celery. Now, I'm letting you know that these onions and potatoes and celery are not pre-cooked. And the reason being is because they're going to cook when they pressure can for 75 minutes. The meat and the carrots are canned, but I did make my carrots in big chunks. We'll just divide those up between there. Okay, so I got the celery and the onions. So I'm just going to go run this back in the freezer because I don't want to leave it out. Now this was leftovers in my refrigerator. So I'm cold packing this, which I did show on another video, how you can cold pack in this electric pressure canner. The reason why I chose this Presto electric pressure canner is because I know that it is USDA approved. There are a lot of other ones. Just do your research. This is the one I prefer. But you can also pressure can this on the stove with your pressure canner that way. So, you know, use whatever works, everybody. I'll do the meat last because then I'll use my hands. So I'm going to just put some potatoes in the bottom. I do have a funnel for the for the liquid. The more food that we have that's already prepared and we can just open and eat it, it just makes life so much easier. And as you can see, I just do little bits at a time. Some days I do, you know, more bulk, but I just had this left over. And, you know, if I had a big thing of beef stew, I could just freeze dry it and make it like a MEA meal. But this I didn't have, I just had the beef, and I was like, that's a lot of beef for me. So what could I do? I could chop it up and freeze it, but I thought, you know what? I can just have these just to open and go right on my pantry shelves. And I love having soups and things in the winter. And when I don't feel like cooking, or I don't even feel good, sometimes soup and stuff just sounds like I can get that in. See how many potatoes I want to get in here because we might have extra. You know what I could do is, well, Otherwise I could save them and use them, make some hash browns for breakfast, but we'll just divide them all up. Okay, so now we got the potatoes, the onions, and the celery. Now I'm going to open up a carrot, and the liquid I'm going to save because I can, number one, use it to cook rice. And if I don't use it in a day or two to cook rice, then I can give it to my chickens. But I will probably use it for rice. It's just you get those extra nutrients. So I think a quart jar might be enough for all of these. Oh, these carrots smell so good. If I had fresh carrots, I would use them, but I don't. So I am fine to use the canned ones. They might be a little softer than I would prefer. But that's why I do chop them up pretty big when I can my carrots, because sometimes I do throw them in soups and stuff, usually when I'm cooking. I don't usually can them again, but you know what? We use what we have. Here we go. This is a good one to use the funnel with. Let's do it that way. We have a funnel, let's use it. And you know, you can make this however you like it. If you like corn, peas, whatever veggies you like in here, you just go ahead and add those in. I like chunky soups and lots of stuff in them. I brought out an extra pint just in case a quart wasn't enough, but yeah, this is plenty of carrots for me. And these also were the 25-pound bag of carrots. I got the seconds from Azure, and they are amazing. I had some carrots that I grew, but I didn't get a huge harvest. So the carrots that I grew, I used them up fresh. And so I am, oh, you guys, I forgot carrots in this one. Oh, for cry-eye. Well, let's fix that. We'll just take a few out of each one. I'm gonna have a little bit of carrots in every one. How did I miss that? A couple out of this one. There we go. That's good. Now we're gonna do the meat. And I do have a lot of meat. We're just gonna start by, and the meat is kind of cut pretty big. So if I don't get all this meat to fit in here, then yes, I probably will freeze it up and use it for another recipe in the future, which is just fine. This roast was amazing, you guys. I got this from a local farm. So I went in with a cow with my kids, and I have to tell you, I'm not one to like, eat a whole roast myself. So I usually do like make meals and stuff with the rest. And I looked at the price of a roast just at Sam's Club or was it Walmart? I don't know where it was, but it was somewhere. Oh no, it was at Aldi. That's where it was. Just a roast at Aldi was like, just the roast. Now, the same kind of roast that I have. It was like $28 just for the roast. And it wasn't even as big as this one. And I thought, wow, I am so thankful to have all this meat in my freezer. It is a blessing, because now, yes, I paid for it up front, but I have all this meat, and look at how many meals I am getting just out of this one roast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I already had 2 meals out of that. That's 8. And I'll probably get one more meal out of that, because I'll probably throw this in the freezer, and I'll probably just make like maybe a beef pot pie or something with that. So yeah, I think that's probably good. Each jar there got a nice hunk of meat. Now I'm gonna wash my hands and then put the liquid in there, and then I'll just throw that in, freeze it. I think that looks like a good amount of meat for, this will make, it could use 1 or 2 here. There we go. And I'm definitely gonna wipe these rims out really good, because when I'm putting the stuff in there with my hands, Yeah, but I think that looks great. I did put some Azure seasoning in there, but I'm just gonna put just a tiny bit of salt in here because I'm canning it. So just a little bit, not a lot, because it already does have seasoning in here. Let's get the liquid in here. I didn't even use that. I was going to, but now this liquid does have a little bits of onion and mushroom and stuff in there. So if you see chunks coming out, that's what it is. And I did grab a thing of chicken broth in case I didn't have enough liquid. I don't have any beef broth canned. I do have a lot of beef bones, so that is on my agenda to get some beef bone broth up. But I think we'll have enough for this. Okay, here's one. I'm so excited about this, you guys. As you can see, I kind of made the recipe up as I go. But you can always, if you have a good beef stew recipe, you can do it that way too. But this is just a super easy way to use up leftovers if you guys can. If you don't, you can always freeze it too. You can make the beef stew up and then freeze it. But this is just super easy, convenient way for me to get more meals on my pantry shelf. And as you see, I will be eating these throughout the winter. And this is how I go without grocery shopping. Last year, what did I go, 14 weeks? And this year, my goal is to go 16 weeks, you know, and I honestly think I can probably even go more. So I'm super excited about having all this food. Because the first thing, once I get all this stuff canned and done, the first thing I'm gonna have to start eating the freezer meals that I have. So I wanna eat those first because I don't want those to go freezer burn. So those are the first things I'm gonna eat. And then I will have these. And I did have some dehydrated meals that I did for videos. And I had made one. It was like a chicken casserole. I wanted to make sure it tastes good because I had made a couple baskets for my daughter-in-law. She was having a charity event at her work. And so, oop, that one has a little bit too much. So I wanted to make sure the meals, you know, they were good because I used dehydrated foods. This was before I had my freeze dryer because I did a beefy Spanish rice for hers. And oh, it was so delicious, you guys. It was so good. 2 more. And then we will wipe them off and we will put our lids on. And then I will get them in here, plug it in, and show you how we get the canner going without warming the jars first because we are using cold ingredients. We are going to be just about perfect with this. And I'm actually throwing the mushrooms that were in. I love mushrooms, so there's a little bit of mushroom in here, so I'm just putting them right into this beef stew. And there were little bits of tomato in here. I had some fresh tomatoes I had to use up, so I'm like, I'll just throw them in there. Kind of what I do, use what I have. That's why when I do recipes, I always like try to find one that's similar to what I have and I base off it and then show you how I cook. Because I'm just not really good at measuring. I just kind of like, oh, throw some of this in, throw some of that in. Kind of got that from my grandma. That looks great. Let me get something to wipe that off with and then get the rings and the bands on it there. We'll try that again, the lids and the rings. So I'm gonna wipe these off pretty good because, you know, there's meat on there, a little bit of grease from the meat, and I certainly want these to seal good. This one, I have so many rings, so the ones that I have a little rust on them, I'm starting to just toss them. What do you guys do? I mean, do you use rings that have rust on them? I don't know. Hey, let's get some of these lids on here. I am using 4-jar lids. I use the discount code from Jessica at 3 Rivers. I can, if you guys want a discount code, I can ask for one and add it to my links that I provide. So that's perfect. That was perfect in that little package. And then we are going to add the rings on, just finger tight, which is just tight up. I learned this from a friend who taught me how to can. We put the rings on, and then I just kind of go, that loosen back. I don't know why, it's just a habit. I learned that from her. I used to go over to their house and pack pickles with them. Deb, if you know. If you ever see any of these videos back when I lived in the cities. This one has a little dent in it. I don't feel confident with that either. Three. And you know what? I didn't get a quart jar. I had enough meat, but I didn't really have enough liquid. So I guess this worked out perfect. You know how I feel about leaving any room in my canner, but since this is the amount of food we had, it worked perfect. I could have got one more, but you know what? I'm good with it because that's the amount of food we had. So let me show you what it looks like inside. There we go. Very nice. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jars of beef stew. That's amazing. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to put this on yet. This thing is so nice. It tells you exactly what to do. So to line it up, we just line this up here, and then we shut it. Then we put this down here, and then we go like this to lock it. There we go. Now I'm going to plug it in. Put these back on my pantry. Always use them for next time, which is lovely. And then I'm going to plug it in. Because I have 1.5 pints, I'm going to process them like they're quarts because I just want to feel more safe. I think they're bigger than a pint, so I don't want to just do pints. So what I'm going to do is, it says pressure can here, and so I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to put the time. So I'm going to do 75 minutes since they're, if it was a pint it would be 60 minutes, but I'm going to do 75 because they're bigger. So I'm going to do it for quart. Then I'm going to hold this in, and now it says insert jars, and I'm going to hold it in again to bypass that. And then it says heat. So now we bypassed the warming of the jars because we're cold packing. And now this is just going to heat everything up together, and then it will beep and tell me when it's time to put this on. And when I put this on, then it will start the pressure canning. So super fancy, I know, but it just makes doing this so much easier, and I save so much money. So I'm going to clean up now, and I will give you a little showing of when this gets done, everybody. So I will put a link in the little shopping link you can click on. I got this at Walmart. I'm sure they have them on Azure. I just found it a little less expensive there, but I'll link both the places so you can find wherever you find it cheaper if you're interested in this. Otherwise, like I said, just use your oven canner and just can it according to your directions, whatever kind of canner you have. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Be blessed, have a great day, and don't forget, you are loved. Bye.